Imagine a world, right? A world with like algae-powered eyesight, robot-run farms,
Mm.
and AI so smart it can beat, the world champion at Go.
Mm.
And this isn't science fiction. This is just a peek at this coming wave of technology that's about to, crash over us.
Right.
Today we're diving into The Coming Wave by Mustafa Suleyman. He's a co-founder of DeepMind,
Right.
and he's not just like talking about these cool gadgets and stuff. He's talking about how this tech could either, propel humanity to incredible heights or just like send us spiraling into this dystopian muss.
Yeah.
So buckle up because this deep dive gets pretty intense.
Yeah, what's so compelling about this book is it goes beyond, just the gee whiz factor of
Yeah.
like all these new inventions. And Suleiman really forces us to grapple with this question, that's going to define the 21st century. Can we control these incredibly powerful forces, or will they end up controlling us?
It's like throughout history, humans have always just been like obsessed with inventing.
From the first flint tools to these like mind-blowing AI systems we have now, we never seem to stop pushing the boundaries. But has there ever been a time when we actually said like no to a new technology?
Yeah, that's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
There's a great historical example that illustrates this.
Okay.
The Ottoman Empire's reaction to the printing press.
Oh, okay.
They saw it as a threat to, their power and their control over information. So they tried to ban it.
But they tried to ban the printing press. Did that like actually work?
Well, not really. Trying to like block the spread of technology is kind of like trying to, hold back the tide.
Yeah.
Ideas will find a way to like circulate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And eventually the printing press, made its way into the Ottoman Empire.
So banning things isn't really like a viable option.
Right.
But have we ever successfully like managed to control a truly like powerful technology?
Well, nuclear weapons present a pretty interesting case study. On the one hand, they're a, terrifying example of technology's potential for just like utter destruction.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, there's this surprising glimmer of hope in how we've dealt with them so far.
Hope and nuclear weapons. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, think about it. Nuclear weapons have only been used twice in warfare.
Right.
And there's only 9 countries that possess them.
Mm-hmm.
South Africa even voluntarily dismantled their nuclear arsenal back in 1989.
Oh, wow.
And then there's the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. That's it's a global effort to prevent the spread of these incredibly destructive weapons.
That's true, but it still feels like, we're constantly on edge, like worried that, some country or some group is going to like get their hands on nuclear weapon and, cause a catastrophe.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it's the situation's definitely not perfect. There have been close calls and accidents, and the threat remains, very real.
Right.
But the point is that global cooperation and proactive measures can make a difference.
Okay.
Even when we're dealing with something as, potentially devastating as nuclear weapons.
Okay, that's somewhat reassuring. But what about AI? It just seems like it's already outsmarting us in like some ways.
Well, remember AlphaGo, the AI system developed by DeepMind that beat the world champion Go player.
Oh yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
I remember like everyone was talking about that. It felt like a turning point for AI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it gets even more impressive.
Yeah.
AlphaZero, AlphaGo's successor, actually learned to play Go at a superhuman level without any human input whatsoever.
Wow.
It basically taught itself from scratch.
That's mind-blowing. If AI can already do that, like what's next? Is there any way to even like slow it down or like control its development?
Well, that's where things get really, really tricky. Suleiman argues that that trying to contain this coming wave of technological advancement, it's almost impossible because of these powerful forces that are driving it.
Okay, so we're talking about like unstoppable forces here.
Right.
Break it down for me. What are these like forces that are propelling this technological surge forward?
Well, for one, there's just like this intense geopolitical competition, particularly between the U.S. and China.
Right.
They're both pouring massive resources into AI and other cutting-edge technologies.
Yeah.
And neither one wants to fall behind.
Right.
It's like a global arms race, but with, algorithms and quantum computing instead of missiles.
Right. So we've got this like this high stakes technological rivalry kind of playing out on the world stage.
Mhm.
What else is fueling this rapid advancement?
Well, you've also got just the inherent openness of the research ecosystem.
Right.
Scientists, by their very nature, are driven to, share their discoveries
Right.
and to collaborate. It's in their DNA.
Yeah.
This makes it incredibly difficult to, keep new knowledge under wraps.
Right.
Or to limit access to information, which further accelerates the pace of technological development.
Right. It's like trying to put the genie back in the bottle.
Right.
Once the knowledge is out there, it's out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you've got the profit motive.
Right.
There are trillions of dollars at stake.
Yeah.
And companies are constantly, pushing the boundaries to bring new innovative products to market as quickly as possible.
Okay, so we've got competition, we've got this free flow of information, and we've got this relentless pursuit of profit. That's a powerful combination. Is there anything else driving this technological wave?
Well, there's also, the urgent need to address global challenges like climate change.
Right.
This requires, groundbreaking technological solutions, which further fuels this wave of innovation.
So it's like a combination of, self-interest, the drive for knowledge, and the need to solve these existential problems. No wonder it feels like this wave is unstoppable.
Yeah.
But what are the consequences if we can't control it?
Right.
What happens if we just let it, crash over us?
Well, Suleyman argues that uncontained technological advancement could create, a dangerous landscape of what he calls uncontained asymmetry.
Uncontained asymmetry. Okay, you're gonna have to explain that one. It sounds ominous. Yeah.
Well, think about cyber attacks like WannaCry,
Right.
which really expose just how vulnerable all of our systems are.
Yeah.
Now, imagine a future where these attacks aren't just random exploits,
Right.
but they're sophisticated AI programs that can learn and evolve as they attack.
That's terrifying. Like AI hackers that can outsmart our best defenses.
Right.
Okay, I'm officially getting nervous. What else falls under this uncontained asymmetry?
Well, there's the growing threat of autonomous weapons.
Right.
Remember that incident where an AI-powered sniper rifle was used to assassinate a top Iranian official?
Oh yeah, that was a game changer. It raised a lot of ethical questions about the role of AI in warfare.
Exactly, and that incident really highlighted how this coming wave of technology could empower individuals or small groups with just incredibly powerful and potentially very dangerous tools.
Right.
Creating a landscape of instability and unpredictable threats.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's this looming threat of what Suleyman calls the infocalypse.
Infocalypse. Okay, that sounds pretty dramatic. What exactly does that entail?
Well, think about the rise of, deepfakes. Those AI-generated synthetic media that can, create these incredibly realistic videos and audio.
Right.
It's becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish between, what's real and what's fake.
Yeah.
Combine that with the current state of, social media, where misinformation spreads like wildfire.
Right.
And we're headed towards a potential collapse of the information ecosystem.
So it's like we're drowning in the sea of information, but we can't tell what's true anymore.
Yes.
What happens to trust and credibility in a world like that?
Exactly. It undermines the very foundations of democracy and informed decision making.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, deliberate misinformation campaigns.
Right.
Even well-intentioned scientific endeavors can have unintended and potentially disastrous consequences.
Okay, give me an example. What kind of well-intentioned science could go wrong in this way?
Well, gain-of-function research is a prime example.
Oh.
It involves manipulating viruses to study their pandemic potential with the goal of developing better defenses against future outbreaks.
Right.
But there's always this risk of accidental release or even deliberate misuse of these enhanced viruses.
So it's like we're trying to outsmart viruses, but creating a potential pandemic in the process. That's
right.
A bit ironic.
And it's not just a theoretical risk.
Right.
Remember the 1977 Russian flu epidemic?
Yeah.
There's evidence suggesting that it might have been caused by a lab leak of a flu strain that was very similar to one circulating in the 1950s.
Okay, that's a sobering thought. But what about the impact on jobs? It seems like everyone's worried about, AI and automation taking over the workforce.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
We're already seeing AI and automation replacing certain types of jobs,
Right.
and this trend is likely to accelerate dramatically with this coming wave of technological advancement.
Right.
What happens when machines can perform not just manual labor, but also complex cognitive tasks that were once considered exclusive to human intelligence?
Right. That's a question a lot of people are asking, like, what will our jobs look like in 10 years? Will
Right.
we even have jobs? It's definitely unsettling.
Yeah, Suleyman doesn't sugarcoat the potential consequences.
Mm-hmm.
He paints a pretty stark picture of what he calls a potential job apocalypse if we don't adapt and prepare for these seismic shifts in the labor market.
Okay. So we've got AI taking our jobs, the truth becoming increasingly elusive, the risk of accidental pandemics, and escalating geopolitical tensions. Is there any good news in this book? Are there any solutions?
Well, Suleyman does offer some potential solutions, but they require a fundamental shift in how we think about technology and governance.
Yeah.
He argues that that we need to accept that containing this coming wave isn't about stopping progress altogether,
Right.
but it's about shaping it. It's
Yeah.
about finding a narrow path between catastrophe and dystopia.
A narrow path. That doesn't sound very reassuring. What does walking that path even look like?
Well, he outlines several key strategies,
Okay.
starting with what he calls technical safety.
Okay.
This means building safeguards into the technologies themselves.
Sure.
Think about developing provably beneficial AI,
Right.
or implementing strict regulations on genetic engineering.
So it's about like designing these technologies with safety features, baked in from the start.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But technical safety is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
He also emphasizes the importance of identifying and controlling what he calls choke points.
Choke points. What are those?
These are strategic points of control that can limit access to certain resources or knowledge that are critical for developing these potentially dangerous technologies.
Right.
For example, think about the U.S. controlling access to advanced semiconductor chips,
Mm-hmm.
which are essential for developing cutting-edge AI systems.
Right. Right. That makes sense. But it also seems like that kind of strategy could like backfire and escalate tensions.
Right.
But
Felt
is
like a
that-
balancing act.
Yeah.
But Suleyman argues that strategically limiting access to certain key resources and knowledge
Yeah.
could buy us valuable time
Right.
to develop other containment strategies.
Okay. So we've got technical safety and controlling choke points.
Mm-hmm.
What else is on his list of containment strategies?
Well, he also talks about encouraging what he calls makers as critics,
Okay.
which means fostering a culture within the tech community where developers take responsibility for the potential consequences of their creations,
Mhm.
and actively work to mitigate risks.
So it's about instilling a sense of ethical responsibility within the tech community itself.
Precisely, and he also advocates for creating new business models that incentivize both profit and social good,
Right.
aligning corporate interests with the needs of society as a whole.
It sounds like he's calling for a pretty radical shift in how we think about the role of corporations in society.
He is, and of course, he emphasizes the importance of government intervention,
Right.
through stronger regulations and oversight of these powerful technologies.
Right. That seems essential, but it also feels like, governments are often like slow to catch up with the rapid pace of technological change.
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
And that's why he also stresses the importance of international cooperation.
Right.
We need global treaties and agreements
Mhm.
to prevent the proliferation of dangerous technologies and manage shared risks.
Right. That seems incredibly challenging given the current state of global politics.
It is.
Like getting everyone on the same page just feels like this monumental task.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
But it's essential if we want to effectively address these these global challenges. And then there's the cultural shift we need to make.
Okay.
We need to move away from a culture of secrecy and shame when it comes to failure,
Right.
and embrace a more open and transparent approach where mistakes are seen as learning opportunities.
That's a great point. Like, imagine if scientists and tech companies were more transparent about their mistakes.
Right.
We could learn from them and potentially like prevent future catastrophes.
Exactly. And finally, he calls for a Hippocratic oath for technologists.
Like the first do no harm principle, but for tech.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's about instilling a sense of ethical responsibility and accountability among those who are creating and deploying these powerful technologies.
All that sounds great in theory, but how do we actually get there? Like, how do we translate these ideas into concrete actions?
Well, that's where things get even more complex.
Right.
Suleyman emphasizes the importance of public engagement. We need open and honest conversations with the public,
right,
about the risks and benefits of this coming wave, so we can make informed decisions about our future.
So it's not just on the experts and policymakers to figure this out.
Right.
We all need to be involved in shaping this future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It has to be a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Involving everyone from technologists and policymakers to researchers and everyday citizens.
Yeah.
We need to ensure that all these efforts work together.
Right.
In a coherent and coordinated way to contain this coming wave of technological change.
Okay. So it's about a lot more than just putting limits on technology. It's about fundamentally shifting how we think about our relationship with technology and with each other.
Precisely. And it's about recognizing that the future is not predetermined. It's being shaped right now.
Right.
By the choices we make.
Right.
The technologies we develop. And the way we govern them. The coming wave is both a challenge and an opportunity.
So where do we even start? What are the most pressing issues that we need to address?
Well, Suleyman argues that one of the biggest challenges is this fracturing of the state.
Okay.
He suggests that the coming wave could either concentrate power in the hands of a few tech giants,
right,
challenging the role of nation states as we know them,
right,
or it could lead to a fragmentation of power,
okay,
empowering individuals and small groups.
So basically, the traditional power structures are going to be shaken up.
Exactly, and it's going to be messy. But here's the thing:
okay,
neither failing states nor authoritarian regimes are equipped to handle the challenges of this coming wave.
Right.
We need confident, agile, and coherent states that are accountable to the people and capable of making quick, decisive decisions.
So in order to contain technology, we need to strengthen the very institutions that are being threatened by it.
Right.
That's an interesting paradox.
It is. But that's the reality we're facing. And it gets even more complicated when you factor in this coming wave of surveillance technology.
Oh, yeah. Surveillance is already everywhere.
Right.
Cameras, facial recognition, data tracking, it feels like we're constantly being watched.
And it's only going to become more pervasive and more sophisticated.
Right.
Suleyman uses China's social credit system as a chilling example.
Right.
It's a system powered by AI and mass surveillance, where the government can track and control almost every aspect of its citizens' lives.
Right.
It raises serious questions about privacy, freedom, and control.
Right. That's not exactly the future I want to live in. And what's scary is that this technology isn't limited to China. It's being, exported all over the world.
Exactly. And it's not just governments we need to be concerned about.
Right.
This coming wave could also empower small groups or even individuals with incredibly powerful and potentially dangerous tools.
What kind of scenarios are we talking about here? What kind of scenarios are we talking about here? It sounds like something out of a sci-fi thriller.
Well, imagine a scenario where someone with malicious intent gets their hands on a bioengineered pathogen, a highly contagious and deadly virus that's designed to evade our current medical defenses.
Right.
Or think about the increasing reliance on AI systems to control, critical infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
like power grids or financial markets.
Yeah.
What happens when those systems are hacked or they malfunction?
Right.
The potential for chaos and disruption is immense.
Okay, now I'm starting to get a sense of what uncontained asymmetry really means.
Hmm.
It's not just about like the raw power of the technology itself, but like who has access to it and how they choose to use it.
Exactly. And the problem is that, most of our institutions, our governments, our legal systems, our ways of thinking, they're simply not equipped to deal with these kinds of threats.
Right.
We're still operating with 20th century mindsets
Yeah.
and structures
Okay, yeah.
in a world that's rapidly transforming into something we barely recognize.
Yeah.
We need a major upgrade, to handle the complexities and the potential dangers of this coming wave.
So it's not just about developing new technologies.
Oh, yeah.
It's about like developing new ways of thinking,
Right.
new systems of governance, new, ethical frameworks to like guide our actions in this rapidly changing world. It feels like a massive undertaking, almost like overwhelming.
It is a daunting challenge, but Suleiman argues that we have a choice to make.
Okay.
We can either continue down this path of uncontained technological advancement,
Right.
blindly hurtling towards potential catastrophe or dystopia,
Mm-hmm.
or we can choose a different path, a path that leads to a future where technology empowers us to build a more just equitable and sustainable world.
A third option. Is there really a way to like navigate between those two extremes? What would that even look like?
Well, he doesn't lay out like a detailed roadmap, but he suggests that a third option is possible, a future where technology is used to solve humanity's greatest challenges and to improve the lives of everyone, not just a select few.
I love that idea. It's definitely a more hopeful vision than the dystopian scenarios we've been discussing. But it also feels incredibly idealistic. How do we bridge the gap between that hopeful vision and the very real, very challenging realities that we've been talking about?
Well, for one, we need to be having more honest and open conversations about the trade-offs involved. We need to acknowledge the potential downsides of these technologies,
Right.
even the ones that seem incredibly promising and actively work to mitigate those risks.
Okay.
We also need to think critically about who benefits from these advancements and who might be left behind. It's about moving beyond the hype and the fear and engaging in some serious critical thinking.
Yeah.
About the kind of future we want to create.
So it's not just about containing technology, but about like shaping it to serve humanity.
Exactly.
But that sounds so like abstract.
Right.
How do we actually do that? Where do we even begin?
Well, Suleiman outlines this multi-pronged approach to containing this wave of potentially disruptive technologies.
Okay.
He talks about technical safety, building safeguards directly into the technologies themselves.
Okay.
Thinking about developing, AI systems that are provably beneficial,
Right.
or implementing stricter regulations on genetic engineering to minimize the risks of unintended consequences.
So it's like designing these technologies with safety features, baked in from the start, kind of like seatbelts for AI.
Exactly.
Right.
But technical safety is just one part of the solution.
Right.
He also emphasizes the need to identify and control what he calls choke points.
Right.
Those strategic points of control that can limit access to certain resources or knowledge that are essential for developing potentially dangerous technologies.
Right. Right. We already touched on this earlier with the example of the U.S. controlling access to advanced semiconductor chips.
Right. Exactly.
Right. That makes sense. But it also feels like a bit of like a Band-Aid solution. We can't control everything, can we?
You're right, and that's why Sullivan also talks about encouraging a culture of makers as critics, where the people developing these technologies are also the ones, thinking critically about their potential downsides and actively working to mitigate risks.
So it's about instilling a sense of responsibility and accountability within the tech community itself.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And he goes even further, suggesting that we need to create new business models that incentivize both profit and social good,
Right.
aligning corporate interests with the needs of society as a whole.
That sounds like a tall order, you know? But I guess it would be naive to think that we can address these challenges without, without involving the very companies and institutions that are driving these technological advancements.
Absolutely. And of course, he stresses the importance of uh, government intervention through stronger regulations and oversight of these powerful technologies. He doesn't shy away from advocating for a more active role for governments in shaping the direction of technological development.
Right. I can already hear the pushback from those who believe in a more, hands-off approach to regulation. But it seems like a certain degree of regulation is going to be like essential if we want to, navigate these challenges effectively.
He acknowledges that government regulation alone won't be enough.
Right.
And that's why he also emphasizes the need for international cooperation, particularly when it comes to preventing the proliferation of dangerous technologies and managing shared risks on a global scale.
Right. That seems incredibly challenging given, the current state of global politics.
Yeah.
Like getting all the world's nations to agree on anything, let alone something as complex as regulating technology. Just feels like an impossible task.
It's definitely a monumental task.
Yeah.
But he argues that it's essential if we want to avoid a future where these technologies are used to sow chaos and division rather than solve problems and improve lives.
Right.
And there's another crucial element he highlights, the need for a cultural shift in how we view failure.
What do you mean by that? How do we need to change our perspective on failure?
Well, we need to move away from a culture where failure is seen as something to be ashamed of or hidden away.
Right.
Instead, we need to embrace a more open and transparent approach where mistakes are seen as valuable learning opportunities, a chance to course correct and prevent future catastrophes.
That's a really interesting point. Imagine if scientists and tech companies were more open about their mistakes.
Right.
We could learn from them and potentially prevent similar mistakes from happening again.
Exactly. And finally, he calls for something he calls a Hippocratic oath for technologists.
So the first do no harm principle, but for the tech world.
Right.
I love that idea.
It's about instilling a sense of ethical responsibility and accountability among those who are creating and deploying these powerful technologies. He argues that we need to foster a culture where technologists are not just focused on what they can do, but also on what they should do, considering the potential consequences of their creations.
All of that sounds great in theory, but I keep coming back to the question of how we actually make all of this happen. These are huge systemic changes. Where do we even begin?
Well, Suleyman argues that one of the most crucial elements is public engagement.
Oh, okay.
We need open and honest conversations with the public about the risks and benefits of this coming wave of technological advancement.
So it's not just up to the the experts and the policymakers to figure this out. We all need to be involved in shaping this future.
Exactly. He believes that we need to move beyond the echo chambers of academia and Silicon Valley and engage in a broader societal conversation about the kind of future we want to create with these powerful technologies. It's about fostering a sense of collective ownership and responsibility
Right.
for the direction of technological development.
That makes a lot of sense. After all,
Yeah.
we're all going to be impacted by these changes, so it's only fair that we all have a say in shaping them.
Right.
But how do we get people engaged?
Mm-hmm.
How do we make these like complex issues accessible and relevant to everyday people?
That's a key challenge.
Yeah.
Suleyman suggests that we need to, move away from abstract pronouncements
Right.
and focus on telling, compelling stories that illustrate the potential benefits and risks of these technologies. He also emphasizes the importance of, creating spaces for dialogue and deliberation,
Right.
where people with diverse perspectives can come together to share their concerns, explore potential solutions, and build consensus around, shared values.
So it's about finding ways to connect these abstract ideas to people's like lived experiences
Mhm.
and make them feel like they have a stake in the outcome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He believes that if we can successfully engage the public in these conversations,
Mhm.
we can harness the collective wisdom and creativity of society to navigate the challenges and opportunities of this coming wave.
That's a really empowering thought.
Mm.
But I also can't help but feel a little bit overwhelmed by the scale and the complexity of these challenges, you know.
Mm.
It's hard to know where to even like begin.
I understand that feeling.
Mm.
But remember, the future isn't predetermined. It's being shaped right now
Right.
by the choices we make, the technologies we develop, and the way we govern them. The coming wave is both a challenge and an opportunity,
Right.
and it's up to us to decide what kind of future we want to create.
Well said. So given all of this, like what are some of the concrete steps that individuals can take to make a difference?
Mhm.
You know, we've talked about like systemic change,
Right.
but what can like everyday people do to contribute to a more positive future?
Well, there are many things that individuals can do to make a difference.
Okay.
First and foremost, educate yourself about these issues.
Mm.
Read books like, The Coming Wave.
Right.
Stay informed about the latest developments in technology and their potential implications.
Mm-hmm.
And engage in critical thinking about the kind of, future you want to see.
Right.
Don't just, passively consume information.
Mm.
Actively seek out diverse perspectives
All right.
and engage in thoughtful discussions with others.
That's great advice. It's easy to feel like powerless in the face of these massive technological shifts,
Mhm.
but becoming informed and engaging in critical thinking are like empowering actions that anyone can take.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Share your thoughts and concerns with your elected officials.
Right.
Support organizations that are working to promote responsible technological development
Mm-hmm.
and advocate for policies that align with your values.
No, it's about becoming like informed citizens and
Yeah.
using our voices to advocate for the kind of future that we want to see. Yep.
Precisely. And don't forget the power of your choices as a consumer.
Right.
Support companies that are developing and deploying technologies in a responsible and ethical way,
Mm-hmm.
and be mindful of the potential consequences of the technologies you choose to adopt in your own life.
So it's about aligning our actions with our values,
Mm-hmm.
both in our personal lives and in the broader political sphere.
Exactly. And finally, remember that change starts with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Model the kind of behavior and thinking that you want to see in the world.
Right.
Be open to new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Engage in respectful dialogue.
Right.
And embrace a growth mindset that sees challenges as opportunities for learning and innovation.
That's a great reminder. It's easy to get caught up in the doom and gloom scenarios,
Right.
but ultimately the future is what we make it.
Mm-hmm.
And by engaging in these conversations and taking action, we can help shape a future that is more just, equitable, and sustainable for everyone.
I completely agree. And while the path ahead may be, uncertain, I believe that by working together, we can navigate the challenges of this coming wave and harness its transformative power
Mm-hmm.
to create a future worthy of our highest aspirations.
That's a powerful message of hope and agency.
Hmm.
And it's a great place to wrap up our deep dive into the coming wave. We've covered a lot of ground from the potential benefits and risks of artificial intelligence to the need for new models of governance and international cooperation. We've explored the challenges and opportunities presented by this coming wave of technology, and we've considered some of the concrete steps we can take to shape a more positive future. Yeah, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all of this? What are you most excited about, and what are you most worried about? Leave us a comment, and let's continue the conversation.